Hi there, Pen Panthers. I know you've been waiting, but today I'm going to read Chapter 2 of Secret Explorers and the Lost Whales. So when we left off, Connor and Roshni just had left the exploration station in a submarine. Chapter 2, The Search Heats Up. A dashboard rose up from the Beagle's floor. Panels popped open to reveal screens and switches. The change was complete, and the Beagle bobbed peacefully on the water. "Look at all these controls," Connor said excitedly. "What do you think they do?" Roshni grinned. "Let's find out." Every time the Beagle changed to a new vehicle, it took on new special features. Figuring out what everything did was half the fun. Connor pointed out a round screen with glowing green lights. "This must be the sonar," he said. "It uses sound waves to measure distances underwater." "I think this is for navigation," said Roshni, who was peering onto his display. "There's us, look, and there's the seabed under us. It's like a sat-nav." They're exploring the different features. In the cupboards under the dashboard were energy bars, water bottles, and 2 wetsuits with masks and oxygen tanks. "We can go on a dive," Connor said. "Wait until you see the coral up close. It's amazing. So many colors, and the fish come right up to you." "We'd better find the whales first," Roshni replied. "For sure," Connor agreed. They were here to help, he reminded himself. They didn't yet know what sort of help the whales needed, but the exploration station had sent them here for a reason. Roshni turned her seat to face the sonar screen. "Why don't you drive and I'll work the instruments?" "Cool." Connor gripped the joystick with one hand and the depth control with the other. He slowly brought the Beagle down below the surface. Lapping water rose around the glass bubble. Down in the green depths, everything was much quieter. Waves danced above them like a silver sheet. Light slanted down in faint rays. Soon, the only sound was the thrumming of the engines. We are in the submarine, the Beagle. "See anything?" Connor asked. Roshni peered into the murk. "Not yet," she said. Connor took them deeper. Roshni frowned at the sonar screen. Still nothing. "That's weird," Connor said. "I can't see any creatures at all down here, not even a shrimp." The cabin suddenly became much darker. Something was blotting out all the light. "Look," Roshni pointed up. "Is that the whale pod?" High above them passed a huge shadow. "Could be," Connor said. "Let's take a look." But as they drew close, Connor soon saw it wasn't the whales at all. Hanging over them was an enormous cloud of bright red algae. It made the sea look like tomato soup. The algae covered the water for what looked like miles in every direction. They surfaced in the middle of the stuff. Red liquid slid down the windows. "It's like the surface of Mars," Roshni whispered in amazement. "And about as much good for life," Connor said. "That's red tide, also known as an algal bloom." Yeah, they've discovered the algal bloom, blotting out all the sunshine. Connor knew that this kind of algae was bad for marine life because it released poisons into the water. There was no sense in blaming the algae, though. They fed on farm fertilizer that had been washed out to sea and grew so fast because climate change had warmed the oceans. Human beings had caused this mess. "No point looking for the whales here," he sighed. "They feed off these little critters called krill. Guess what a red tide does to krill?" "Kills them?" Roshni guessed. Connor nodded. "Let's keep moving." He fired the engines. The Beagle churned up the water and they plunged below the surface again. Connor was glad to leave that ugly red soup behind. As they moved out of the algal bloom's shadow, the water began to clear. Little gleaming fish zipped past. Then came a pulsing jellyfish with tentacles like streamers. Connor smiled. This was more like it. He steered them down toward the seabed. Roshni switched on the outside lights and gasped. The beams lit up a wonderland of life. Before them lay brightly colored kelp beds, clumps of coral-like heaps of treasure, and schools of glittering fish. There's a picture of all the sea life they found. As they approached a bulging rock, it suddenly moved. The rock changed color and reached out with its striped tentacles. It snatched up a crab. Roshni gave a yelp of surprise, then a delighted laugh. "It's an octopus." "A mimic octopus, and it's a beauty," said Connor. "They're camouflage experts." "I noticed," Roshni grinned. "Hey, is that a shark? It looks like an alien." Off in the distance, a pale gray shape was gliding along silently, looking for prey. Its strange head was T-shaped with eyes at the ends. "Yep," said Connor, "a hammerhead." They steered the Beagle carefully around the rocks and reefs, still searching for the whales. There was no sign. Once a hidden manta ray rose up from the seabed, sending clouds of sand everywhere. But there were still no whales. Maybe there's something on the sub that can help us, Roshni said, looking around. Turbo boost. She read out the labels under the buttons. Grabbing arm. Hey, what about this sound scanner? So here you can see there's the mimic octopus and the hammerhead shark and the manta ray. Go for it, Connor said. Roshni pressed a switch. The cabin suddenly filled with the noises made by the different sea creatures outside. Crabs scuttled and clicked. A hammerhead shark thrashed its tail. Then, from the dim distance, came an eerie echoing sound. Connor froze. Listen, that's them. They both held their breath. For almost a whole minute, there was only silence. Then, they both heard it again, loud and clear. Connor thought there was no other sound on earth like the song of a humpback whale, a soaring, shivering, lonely call that somehow seemed to come from the far-off stars. His skin tingled. Wow, Roshni breathed. I know, right? Connor pointed forward. They're definitely in that direction. Let's see if we can find them with the sonar, Roshni said. She pressed a button. Sure enough, the pod of whales popped up on the screen. They were swimming together over an underwater valley. We need to follow them, Connor said. Roshni's fingers danced over the controls. With a loud ping, a glowing green arrow appeared on the dashboard, pointing the way to the whales. Full speed ahead, Captain Connor, she yelled. Aye, aye, Captain Connor growled and slammed the engines up to maximum thrust. They were flung back in their seats as the torpedo roared through the ocean like a torpedo. It wasn't long before they caught sight of the same deep valley they'd seen with the sonar. Tiny creatures with lots of legs were swimming through the sub's headlights. Krill! Connor slowed the engines down. They had to be close. Any moment now. There they are, he said in an awed whisper. The humpback whales were coming into view. One after another, their immense shapes emerged from the cloudy depths. Connor looked on, his heart pounding, as their mighty tails beat a path through the ocean. How could something so enormous be so graceful? I hope the other secret explorers are watching right now, he said, because this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen. There's the pod of humpback whales. They found them. Okay, you guys, that's the end of chapter 2. So Connor and Roshni have found the whales, and next maybe we'll find out what the whales need help with. Okay, see you soon. Bye.